I think what got me interested in your book is this, and I have a genetics background, is this idea of sifting through municipal waste to look for clues about disease and population health.
Yep.
And that really started and picked up steam because of the COVID pandemic.
Yes.
Do you actually think that's a useful approach? And
absolutely.
Do you think we're going to see like more of that, or
yes.
what
I mean, I hope so.
I
hope so. So wastewater epidemiology actually has a long history, and it was used initially for polio. Back in the 30s, actually, which was a shock to me that it had been around so long. And it was actually a group at Yale University who first, I believe the first two cities they found it in were Detroit and Charleston, South Carolina, during polio outbreaks. And so they had, fairly crude experiments for the time, because then they were, trying to isolate the virus and inject monkeys with it. And so that part was a little gruesome. But thankfully, we have much more refined methods now.
So let me just ask though, what were they screening? Like, how were they screening for things? Because they didn't have, genomic PCR DNA sequencing at that time.
No, basically what they were doing is capturing wastewater and seeing if they could replicate the symptoms of polio in lab animals.
Oh,
okay. And they were able to do that and basically prove that the places where they had sampled, at least some of those places, had polio virus that was still active and able to infect humans and animals. The refinement of that method now is such that you can do PCR tests that are looking for the presence of DNA or RNA.
Yeah.
And it's become actually an incredibly useful public health tool. In the same way that one of the researchers compared it to when we had the West Nile outbreak that happened in New York. I believe it was in 1999. And one of the very useful environmental indicators is that you started to see crows literally dropping from the sky because the virus was infecting the crows. That actually became a really useful warning to people in the areas where they had dead crows, and they were literally counting dead crows as a way to figure out where you might see outbreaks of the virus. Wastewater epidemiology is you're basically sampling municipal waste, although you can do it even at the level of a building, but typically from a wastewater treatment plant. And you're looking specifically at the presence of the pathogens of concern. So polio, COVID, and monkeypox now have all been detected at the level of wastewater treatment plants, so that you know that it's in a community. What you can do then is you can go up the sewer shed to the level of separate parts of the city and try and figure out where in a city it is. So once you know it's in London or New York, you can then go into some of the utility holes, do your swabbing there, and from your flow pattern kind of where where those sewage is going and what it's drawing from, what part of the city.
Yeah.
And so that's been incredibly effective at giving people a head start. And of course the question is, well, what do you do with that head start?
Right.
Then that's a question of public health.
Yeah.
What kind of resources are you going to bring to bear on that? Is it a priority? But in the book, I do talk about a couple instances at the University of Arizona and at a facility in Yuma, Arizona, a date packing plant, where they used it very effectively during the COVID pandemic to help protect students and workers. Mm-hmm. So I do think that it's incredibly useful. You've seen a ramp up in the infrastructure. I think with the reemergence of polio in London and New York, for example, and we're probably going to see other viruses popping up, This is something that I really strongly feel we should be building up now that we have this capacity, because this isn't going to be the last pandemic.
Yes, as we were already learning much sooner than I thought we would, but yeah.
So it's a fascinating field of study, and I think that it's proven itself.